you could think of meditation as a practice of being, and that being that it's a practice of is a non-conceptual experience. We could call it nothing. And the being that we're practicing being, that's a non-conceptual experience that we could call nothing or no thing, is real. It is your actual nature. And this being that is nothing, that is real, that is your actual nature, is there all the time. It's never not there. One way to talk about it is to say that if you use an example of an actor learns a script to play a character. And when the actor is playing that character, the actor forgets the actor's actual real life, the actual's personality, the actual situation that the actor's life is occurring in the actor's life. That's forgotten. If it's a good actor, it's forgotten as much as possible, and the actor takes on the identity of the character. And the character that the actor plays is scripted. Everything is predetermined that the character's going to do. So the actor plays the character and gets to experience what it feels like to be that character, gets to experience the emotions of that character, gets to experience the circumstances that that character is in, gets to behave consistent with the way that character behaves and the way that character thinks and the way that character feels. And all the while, the personality of the actor is in the background. It's been forgotten. And actors report that this is an exciting experience. This is a very fulfilling experience because their life is on hold. The reality of who they are is not happening while they're acting, while they're being the character that they're playing. And then after the play or the movie, they remember who they really are. It's their personality, and they remember their life and the circumstances that existed in their life. And that circumstance may be better or worse than the circumstance of the character they were playing. In some cases, they may wish they were the character instead of who they really are. But in both cases, the character and the actor are both subject to a script. Even the personality of the actor is subject to a script, and that script is less clear or less obvious than the script of the character that the actor is playing. But nonetheless, it's a script, and the script is the conditioning of the personality of the actor. And so in both cases, there is a script. One is a script written by a producer and a director and a writer, and the other is a script written by the conditioning of the personality of the actor. So in both cases, there will be suffering. In both cases, there will be circumstances that have an impact on the character and an impact on the actor and the actor's personal life. In meditation, what we're talking about is that which is not the actor or the character. In meditation, what we're talking about is that which comes before both. So in the case of the actor forgets its personality to become the character. But if the actor were to forget its personality to become what it actually is, what the actor would experience is nothing. That's what being is. Being is nothing. And for all of us, the conditioning is the script that we're playing, and the personality is the character that we're playing, and life is the situation we're doing it in. The only problem is that just like the character, the actor in the actor's personal life playing the script that the actor's playing in their personal life is the same as the character in the sense that the circumstances or the situations that occur determine the experience that is being had by the character in the play or the movie and by the actor in the actor's personal life. So they're very much the same. It's just a shift from one situation to another, from one character to another. In meditation, what we're up to is getting to what's called being, and being is not the form of a character, it's not doing, it's not acting. Being is empty. Being is characterless. Being is that which is there prior to the character, prior to the personality. And when we take on the character, the personality through our conditioning, we forget the being just like the actor forgets their personality and becomes the character. And we become the character that our conditioning has us be. And this is how that turned out for you. You know, this is how that ended up. This is how you wind up. You're the character that got put together. You're the character that's experiencing the script of your life that's given by your conditioning, given by what you learned, given by what you experienced, and given by the identity that you took on that's part of the character that you're being, just like the character that the actor plays. It's an identity that's being taken on. So in both cases, the actor acting as the character in the movie or the play, and the actor acting as the character that they are in their personal life, they both share the same reality in terms of the circumstances or situations that they find themselves in, create an experience of either well-being or suffering or gratification or... So in meditation, there's this possibility of getting out of either being the person that's the actor acting the character or being the person that's acting the personality of the actor. To experience what we call freedom. Freedom from having to continue to act consistent with the script that you've been given. What I'm talking about here is that you cannot act outside of your personality. You cannot think outside of your conditioning. That's the script that you're locked into, just like the actor is locked into the script. And because you're locked into that script, and part of that script is that you're a separate self, you're a physical body, you have unique characteristics, and you're separate from everyone else, and separate from life, and separate from the world, just like the character in the play or the movie. So this is a situation in which there will be suffering, and the reason there will be suffering is because the script and the character are very limited. And the script and the character can't get outside of that. You can't get outside of the box. You know, they talk about thinking outside the box. As it pertains to what we're talking about here, thinking is the box. And so getting outside of the box is not thinking outside the box, it's being outside the box, and that's not thinking. So what we're talking about here is Paying attention in such a way where we notice, right, that there is a state of being that is empty, that is nothing, that is prior to the existence and the experience of something, prior to the existence and the experience of being a person, a physical body, in a human life, experiencing circumstances. That's the possibility that we're talking about here. And even when the actor is being the character in the movie, the personal life of the actor is still in existence, playing in the background. And even when we're being the personality, the reality of what we are as awareness or consciousness or a state of being is always available in the background. And what meditation is about is recognizing it, remembering it, and coming to realize that it is real and the personality and the act is not real. The personality and the act is not real, but it's necessary because in order to be in the play or in the movie or in life, you have to have a position, you have to have a personality, you have to have a piece in the game. The problem is if that's all there is, if you have forgotten the truth of your nature and you are stuck in the character that you're playing and the script that you're playing, it can get very uncomfortable. Because even though that's the case, there is an awareness available of the truth, and the awareness that's available of the truth has the character experience that something's missing. Something's missing, something's lacking. Somehow there is this experience of suffering because it seems as though as much as the character attempts to do what it can do to be happy and to experience well-being, it never works. And so there's this state of dissatisfaction. There's this state of unhappiness. There's this state of suffering, this state of anxiety, this state that can become a state of desperation, suffering in terms of feeling like I can't take this anymore. Nothing seems to make any difference. Nothing seems to help. I keep looking for the right thing to do. I keep looking for the right place to be. I keep looking for the right attitude, the right thought process, the right feeling state. And no matter what I do, nothing seems to work. The emptiness or the lacking that I experience continues to exist. And when that's the case, and because that's the case, you hear about meditation or you hear about the possibility of happiness, the possibility of well-being. And then you become interested in the practice. But the practice is very challenging because what you discover in the practice is that you can't do it. You can't do this practice. And you don't know what to do because you don't know how to be. Being is something you're not familiar with. Being is something that although it's there, you have taken yourself to be an action figure, a personality, a doer. And because of that, you attempt to do meditation, and it doesn't work. It's a frustrating experience to sit there and attempt to do meditation. So the practice of meditation is a practice of putting up with your mechanical and automatic attempt to do meditation. But if you sit with that and just continue to pay attention to the body breathing over time, the mind will begin to calm down, the body will relax, and the grip that that reality has had on you will start to loosen up. There'll be some space where there wasn't any space. And you'll begin gradually to recognize, oh, I've made a mistake. Oh, I've taken myself to be something other than what I am. How do I know that? Because when I'm practicing meditation and I'm paying attention to the body breathing, I experience a freedom to be. I experience a freedom from the limitations of being a person. I experience a freedom from the limitations of thinking I experience the possibility of being. And the I that's experiencing the possibility of being is the being itself. Awareness is aware of itself. This gives me the freedom to recognize that I am as free as the actor that's playing the script, playing the character. Because that's not actually happening. What's actually happening is I simply exist as consciousness and awareness. That's actually happening. That's where the freedom is. And so now life becomes an interesting and exciting adventure rather than a challenging, threatening, heavy, difficult, ongoing, repetitious experience, which is the way it is for most of humanity. So that's what's in the offering here. That's what the invitation is. The invitation is to be free. And the only possibility to be free is to recognize that it's already the case, which means there's nothing to do to be free. So the practice of meditation is experiencing what's already so. And experiencing what's already so consistently over time, long enough that it takes hold, that it becomes clear that the actor is an actor, and that the reality of what you are is the awareness of the actor acting, and that's the truth. And when that experience is the experience that's being had, there's an experience of well-being and freedom. And that's what's available through the practice of meditation. Okay, so the question is that actors sometimes improvise, and if they improvise, and when they improvise, they're coming out of the script, right? Isn't that something that's possible for us as human beings, to come out of our script? It's interesting because Gurdjieff, George Gurdjieff, anybody here ever hear George Gurdjieff? Sometimes they pronounce his name Gurdjieff. That's one of the things that he taught in his approach to escaping the limitations of the typical human life. He would teach his students, if you brush your teeth with your right hand, start trying to brush it with the left hand. If you're right-handed, start practicing, experiencing, doing things with the other hand, right? And what he was after is exactly what you're talking about, right? Is if you intentionally break out of the script, right, then you may discover the freedom that's available to act creatively instead of being stuck in a script. And that experience of freedom to act creatively may allow you to notice that there is a free experience of what you are available at all times, right? So in the same way that you practice doing something different that's outside of your script, right, that breaks your patterns, right? That's actually part of what happens when the wake-up begins to occur through the practice of meditation, right? You start noticing in the middle of your script, right, in the middle of the way in the middle of the way you are with living your life, you start noticing in the middle of that you're in the script. And when you notice you're in the script, right, you're noticing it from the freedom that's available when you're experiencing the truth of yourself, which is unscripted, unconditioned. And so through the practice of meditation, you will have experiences where you notice you're in the script, and because you're noticing you're in the script from the awareness, which is not scripted, the possibility of acting freely comes into existence. So that in the middle of a pattern that's running in which you would normally say and do certain things, especially in patterns that you would normally say and do certain things that were unworkable, and even though you knew they were unworkable, you couldn't stop yourself because it was being run by emotion, right? This is a very frustrating experience a lot of us have, right? But through the practice of meditation, you can have moments of awakening in the middle of that script and realize that because I'm seeing it as a script, there's a possibility of being free from that and a possibility of acting freely. And because of that, I can now look and see, if I was free to act in this circumstance, what action would I take that would be an action that would be appropriate, that would be consistent with my real nature, that would produce the outcomes that I actually want, right? And when you have that experience and you come out of that script and you say and do something that's not in the script, it's not in your conditioning, right? That will stimulate you to practice meditation even more, because you'll realize this is an opening for a possibility of having a life well lived. This is an opening for a possibility of experiencing the freedom of being that's always available to you, so that you can be available to what's happening in such a way where there's a freedom there to act creatively. What do I mean by that? A freedom to act creatively means you're acting from nothing rather than acting from a conditioning. You're acting from nothing. You're being nothing. You're being formless, acting as a form. Right? You're acting from nothing, creating a reality. You can only create from nothing. You can't create from something. That's change, right? That's what most of us are up to, changing, right? I want to change. I want to change from the way I am to a better way of being, right? But this is a different possibility. This possibility is a possibility where the experience you have from which you can act is an experience of freedom. It's an experience of no form, of nothing. It's an experience of well-being. It's satisfied, it's peaceful, it's content, and then you act, instead of acting to try and get to that experience of fulfillment, satisfaction, well-being, and happiness. So instead of pursuing happiness, you're being happy, experiencing your life. Instead of pursuing peacefulness, you're being peace, experiencing a human life. And it's a completely different reality, yeah. And so the idea is that you practice formally, and then you begin practicing informally, right? And then there's no practice. Yeah? Because if you're practicing, if what you're practicing is consistent with the way it actually is, right? At some point the practice becomes unnecessary, because you get so used to it, you become so familiar with it, you actually become that, and you don't become that, you actually stop being what you're not and start being naturally what you always have been and really are. So at some point, it's a mix. At some point, you know, in this process, walking this path, practicing meditation, at some points it's a mix, meaning that there are times and moments when you're in your nature, you're in your true nature, and when you're in that, you're just being kind and compassionate. That's how you are, right? And then there are other times when you're back in the personality, right? Because the process isn't completely over yet, right? And when you're in that, you're familiar with being the way that works, and so you behave that way. And eventually the whole thing comes together, right? It's just like putting ice in water, right? Eventually the ice will melt, and then there's no difference between the ice and the water, like that.